Assalamu alaikum dear students, welcome back, and today we are starting class 10 computer science programming subject, and today our chapter is problem solving. And problem solving is the key activity or the key term that we all need to understand in order to do the programming with confidence. And when we move toward the first part of the programming, the problem solving is actually something we all are doing in our daily life, like when we are facing variety of problems that may be related to any field, and and we know that those problems can be handled by different ways, and there are different techniques to handle these problems, and every person does have a different methodology for handling it. So there are techniques for the solution that you will adopt, and these techniques involve that you need to understand the nature of the problem, and depends on the situation, because definitely based on it you will have a different technique. And the problem solving may be an art or science. It includes special knowledge in the field to which the problem relates to, and power of knowledge without learning, human reasoning and experience. And in problem solving, each problem may have his or her own unique way. So I'm saying that the problem can be handled in different way by different people based on their own ability, based on their own vision, their own technique. So prior to the solution of problem, there are certain steps we all need to, the person should need to know, and there are certain steps which will help to make the solution more better. And these steps involve problem identification, specify requirement, analyze the problem, design algorithm and draw flowcharts, write the program, test and debug, implement the program, maintain and update the program, document the program. So these are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps, and these steps are very important. And this chapter, in the chapter number 1, you have these steps in details. So today we are going to see a little information on each step, so that you people can have a better idea of the problem solving. When talking about the problem identification, which is the first step of problem solving, problem identification is actually the stage where you are identifying the problem more carefully. So in this step, all the relevant and irrelevant informations are actually, they are separated, and you are actually you are doing the basic activity in the start. It is kind of just understanding what the real issue is. Let's say I give you an example that if you want to make a calculator, now in the basic concern is how these calculations will be performed, and how the result should be displayed, and what input should be accepted, and what we are not interested in identifying or doing, let's say, the scientific calculation, or we are interested in doing the scientific calculation. So and how these calculations are actually performed. So in this step we are doing all these things, and we are identifying that the solution which we will make for the computer, for the program as a program, will cover what areas. So this is actually problem identification. And then the second one is the specify requirement. In the specify requirement, what we need to know, the software engineers, you need to extract, you need to identify the requirements, because you know, when you are developing a software, you don't know what the users want, and definitely you have to design the software according to the requirement of the user. So this stage demands to make clear the user's requirement. And because if you will make the software, and after that The user cannot, if he demands for any change, then that change will be very difficult. So requirement document is something that is performed in detail in the start of the development, in the start of the problem solving, and it is actually the expectation of the user, it is actually the need of the user, which you will definitely look in detail. And then is after specifying the requirement, the next step is to analyze the problem. And analyzing the problem is actually decomposing the major problem into sub problems. So you are actually dividing the complex problems into small problems, and then you're taking it down until the further divisioning is not possible. It is same as we all learned the divide and conquer rule, in which you are handling the big issue by dividing into smaller issues. So the question that can be asked in this phase, that how many solutions are there to a given problem, which one is the best solution, can the problem be solved on computer, what are inputs and output, how can the bigger problem be divided into sub problems. Then the fourth one is design algorithm and draw flowchart. This is the design part, and before this part, the step number 1, 2, 3, they were the analysis part, and in the design part, what the software developer or the programmer is doing, what the problem solver is doing, is actually now moving toward designing the solution. And in designing the solution, the very first thing he does is to write the steps that will actually solve the problem. It is same like writing the recipe of a dish, or writing the steps involved in an experiment. So you are writing these steps one by one, and then while writing these steps, you need to understand what the data will be input, and how the process will be performed, and what will be the outcome of that process. So the design part covers algorithms and flowchart. Algorithm is stepwise writing activity, and flowchart is doing the same with the help of a diagram. After doing the algorithm and the flowchart, the next step is to write the program. And writing the program is actually sitting onto the computer and then start writing the codes. This step involves the conversion of algorithm, and the steps you have written as a solution, or the flowchart you have made, which clearly shows how the problem will be solved. Then the person sits on the computer, then the programmers actually, or the design is given to the programmers, who will start writing the codes. So in this step, the programmer is actually using a specific programming language. He is following the syntax of that programming language. He is actually following the rules of those programming languages, and then in that way he writes the program. And then the next step is test and debug, and this is very important. After developing that program, after designing that program requires to be tested on the data. So you are going to input the data to the program, and definitely the purpose of inputting that data is to check that the program which you have developed is correct or not. So testing and debugging, and this is very important part. And if the program is tested correctly, and if the program is giving the desired outcome, it means the program is correct, and it will meet the user's requirement. And if the program, after inputting the data, is not giving the desired outcome, it means there are certain issues, there are bugs in it. So the developer will again evaluate the program, will again correct these issues, and then the program will be more better to work. So in testing and debugging is important, and the debugging, in which you actually remove the errors, it include the syntax error, that can be grammatical error, or it can include the runtime error, that can be an execution error, and it can be a logical error. We will study these type of errors in details in the upcoming lessons. And after testing and debugging, the very important part, or the step in the problem solving, is to implement it. And implementing the program is actually, now you are confident in its testing, you know in all situation how the program will run. Then you are going to install it, and after the installation to the user, now the user is going to test that program, or the user is going to run that program with the real data. And before it, you were testing the program in the in your software house or at your home, and that data was not the real data. Now while you will implement it, the user is going to run it, and definitely this will be more important part, because here you will come to know that what is the efficiency of that program. And definitely after the after implementing the program, and after the program or the software will be running in by the user and will be run by that company, you will be evaluating, you will get the feedback from the user about its maintenance, and might be there will be the requirement of updating the program. So program maintenance is an ongoing process, and you will be doing this thing again and again, and there might be some issues with the hardware or with the softwares. So they can be minor or they can be major problems. So the programmer or the software company or the software developer is actually handling this part as well, and it include the maintenance of that program and updation of that program. Like as the same in the same way, the Windows, like they are updating their versions, they are announcing different version, that is updation. Or we are updating the apps or the applications or the operating system of our smartphones. So these are actually something which the programmers, they are regularly or they are constantly doing for enhancement of the capability of the program, which is actually run by the company or the user. And the last is to document the program, and documentation is actually writing the detailed description of the program, algorithm, design, codings, testing, and proper usage, so that when you will hand over the program to the user, if for example while they're working, they have certain queries, or they want to know about something that they don't know, they can consult to that document, and that document will guide them to use that the software more better. Or for example, if you want to later on, if there will be certain need of changes into that program, then that document will help to understand the program and its source code, and certain and the later on modification and updation is more easy. So this is all about the problem solving. So we have seen that the problem solving is something that is very important in programming, and the software development and the programming is actually based on these steps. And we have discussed the problem identification, specify requirement, analyze the problem, design algorithm and draw flow chart, write the program, test and debug, implement the program, maintain and update the program, and document the program. So dear students, I hope that you have got the idea of problem solving, and you have also got the initial idea of the steps which are involved in problem solving, and we will have the further elaboration of these steps in the next lesson. And I'm sure that you all have got the basic idea of our today's topic. Thank you very much.